Most of us radio amateurs have nostalgic memories of shortwave listening, and we were called SWLs by radio amateurs. I still remember my SWL days in 1970s listening to powerful ham radio stations in this region on amplitude modulation like VU2TG and VU2JN using my home broadcast receiver Philips Prestige, a 4-band vacuum tube radio. In those days, only microwave activity in this region were the microwave towers which we used to see here and there, relaying long distance telephone calls. I used to visit as many towers as possible, and once I got the chance to have a telephone call from one of those tower locations. Microwaves are radio waves in the range of 300 MHz to 300 GHz in broad sense. But there is variation in definition in that some consider it between 1 to 100 GHz or even between 1 to 3000 GHz. Anyway, the term microwave does not imply waves in the region of micrometer length. Rather, they are smaller than conventional radio waves. So, microwaves may mean anything from ultra high frequency to extremely high frequency depending on the definition which you follow. Coming back to microwave listening, when I was an SWL, I was not even aware of the possibility of amateur microwave listening. When I became an amateur radio operator, some of the richer hams had VHF radios which do not come under microwave category by any definition. Some time later, I noticed UHF handheld radios being mentioned in the catalogs of amateur radio dealers in this region. Those radios intrigued me as they were smaller and had smaller VIP antennas compared to VHF handheld radios. But I never had an opportunity to use one. When I returned to amateur radio after a long hiatus in 2023, things had changed a lot. Many in this region had started operating on the QO100 geostationary amateur radio satellite located at about 36,000 km altitude, which was rather mind-boggling for me. I was wondering how to listen to them, obviously in the microwave band with downlink on 10 GHz band. It was VU2NSL who told me about the Qatar Oscar 100 narrow band web SDR by British Amateur Television Club BATC, hosted at Goonhilly Earth Station. Web SDR is a relatively recent invention which allows us to listen to radio transmissions using a web interface in your smartphone or computer. It can be tuned to different frequencies simultaneously by multiple users located in any place with access to the internet. I started off by listening to the QO100 India Morning Net on 10489.690 MHz between 7:15 am to 7:30 am IST, UTC plus 5:30, and I could hear VU2NSL controlling the net on most days. As it was from a geostationary satellite received with a 1.3 meter dish antenna at Goonhilly Earth Station, the audio was quite clear and I used to enjoy listening to the net daily till I got a new VHF dual band radio a few months later. So that was my introduction to microwave listening.
Juliet November 19 Papa Whiskey. Juliet November 19 Papa Whiskey 7. Florida 5 Oscar Hotel Sierra. Bye bye and good luck.
If you go by the wider definition of microwaves, even my VHF UHF dual band radio is useful for listening to the so-called microwaves in the wider sense, the UHF radio waves, though I do not consider them as really microwaves. In that way, you may consider that listening to the downlink frequency of amateur radio on International Space Station on 437.800 MHz as a lower level of microwave listening. Recently, I have started using VU3ZNG Open Web RX for listening to amateur radio satellites. We use satellites with uplink on VHF and downlink on UHF, like the space station, can be listened to in this widened definition of microwave region. You can also listen to UV satellites with uplink on UHF and downlink on VHF like AO91 using this Open Web RX. There are bookmarks for several satellites available there for locating the frequency easily. Unlike the QO100, which is geostationary and can be accessed at any time, low Earth orbit satellites are available only for about 10 minutes during a pass in the region of the Open Web RX. You have to find the timing from sites like n2yo.com by entering the Maidenhead grid location of the WebSDR. In case of VU3ZNG Open Web RX, the grid location is MK82TW. On a side note, a very popular WebSDR for shortwave listening is the University of Twente wideband WebSDR. When I checked just now, there were 514 simultaneous users.